Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guests. I am your host, Alfie Edmus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, right here,
numbering in the thousands, with more pouring in.
We're going to learn a little bit about these Iran protests that are, for some reason, the revolution of another country over an actual dictator is being trumped
maybe not now
by counter-protesters here telling them that they're wrong.
Witnessing a potential revolution in real time. And
the same people who say that we have a fascist dictator here in America
I know you're going to hear a lot of
are standing up against the people who oppose the fascist dictator in Iran.
Let's piecemeal some of this. People will tell you it's not organic. People will tell you that only neocons want this, and that this is spurred by Israel. That the Iranian people
call those people
their
retarded.
Islamic authority. That Trump is going to lead us into World War III. That it's not America first. Is any of that true? Is some of it true? Well, the answer is pretty much none of that is true. Here's the thing. I would bet that Israel would like a regime change.
really
I would bet that most people in Israel like sandwiches. I, too, enjoy sandwiches. So it's not because the Jews.
Exactly. And then this, again, is why just because someone benefits from it does not mean they're solely directly responsible for it.
And the same thing with the Iranian people. If you go back and you look into their history, this is not historically, by the way, a Muslim country. They were effectively conquered by Muslims. The Persian people are very different from the Arabic people. They have different culture, different history, different language, different IQ levels. And this is not a government that was elected by a majority of the people that turned on. This was basically a hostile takeover. This has never been a legitimate government, and the people have been trying.
Which I understand overthrowing a monarchy, but you have to understand most times when monarchies were overthrown, most times, not all, it's always been awful what comes next. It usually is something better, not in this case.
So they have their own interests, and other international actors may have interests too. That's what sort of muddies the water. So let's go into this. Over the weekend, the protests continued to escalate, and it's really hard to know the accurate death count because we're getting some of that info from Iran.
And you have to understand, this isn't like protests in this country where people are mouthy and in law enforcement's faces because they know that nothing will happen to them. And if it does, it'll strengthen their argument. But the likelihood of it happening is very low because in here, you're encouraged to not kill protesters. Iran, on the other hand, also, in this country, when city blocks look like this, it's because of the protesters, not because the protesters were firebombed by police.
So this is taking place as we enter the third week of protests. Thousands likely dead. The numbers are only listed as hundreds. Outside communications completely cut off. Elon Musk trying to get Starlink going. Public executions being announced by the regime.
And big ups on Elon Musk for that. Love him or hate him, the fact that he gave Wi-Fi back to the people of Iran so they could show the world what's happening there and not be held off from the rest of the world. Big ups on him. Love him or hate him.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Not everything is a psyop. Some things are psyops. And of course, governments work off the radar if they have vests. That happens. All governments do that across the world. Not all of the many hundreds, potentially thousands of people who have been killed in Iran are on the payroll of anyone else. Many of them are willing to die, and more people pouring into the streets. That doesn't happen unless it's organic, just to be clear.
Well, it's been going on for decades.
Yes.
It fires up, and what happens is the regime usually puts it down hard enough in public executions and disappearing people, and they go back home. Right. So it's not like Israel every single time is like, here we go, we're going again.
Right.
For 20, 30, 40 years now.
And real quick side tangent, this whole them wearing Be Good pins, for normies, they're just going to think they're big fans of the fucking E.T. movie and it's having a resurgence or a revival or a remake. When it's just a bunch of celebrities talking about things they really don't know any details about.
And is there one guy, one person, one figure that's leading this movement?
No,
it seems like there is, and that's
gonna
usually a good sign. If there's one guy, it's usually a good sign of some other intervention.
Right.
Like, hey, here's our leader. Here's our guy. Here, we give him all the tools he needs,
Right.
and he'll create an uprising in his own people. That's not.
No, it's not. You have a few people who are acting, I would imagine, in positions of more authority than others. That's why they're going to execute those who they think are the worst actors. But no, this is something that is a long time coming. And, you know, let's rewind this. Hey, what if Iran did get to the point of having nuclear weapons, which they were going to? Then their threats here wouldn't ring so hollow. There's very little they can do. They can engage in terrorism, of course, and they can have sleeper cells, and they can hit military bases. But a nuclear Iran?
And this right here is why I hate when white people convert to Islam. Because they start saying stupid shit like these people who are very clearly historically Jewish were Muslims. Abraham, Moses, Jesus. Jesus.
That would have been a very, very dangerous, very different parallel universe. So last night, President Trump actually addressed this from Air Force One in very Trump fashion. I love it.
There seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it. And we're looking at
Okay, she finally
very
blinked.
strong options. We'll make a determination. Some of the protesters were killed through the stampeding. I mean, you know, there's so many of them. And some were shot. We get a full report. I'm getting an hourly report. And we're going to make a determination.
Have you noticed that he's not as thickly orange yet? I'm sorry, it's the autism in me that's speaking, but I've noticed that he's not as bright orange as he usually is. I mean, good on him.
Don't you think so, CNN? Don't you think so? Wouldn't you say that they
Maybe it's like people always say orange man bad. Maybe he's like, I don't know who the orange man is. This is me over here. That was a horrible Trump impression. It sounded more like Fauci.
probably do at this point? After going through it for years with me, being hit, Soleimani, al-Baghdadi.
Al-Baghdadi.
Iran nuclear threat wiped out. Don't you think, and then you just had Venezuela, don't you think, she says, CNN, do you think they take your threat seriously? Don't you say they do after all of the things we've done? What a stupid question. They do. They called yesterday. Iran called to negotiate. Yesterday.
Like, to me, it sounded like he just wanted to say they called and didn't want to say anything further, but he was just trying to think of when.
Iran wants to negotiate, yes. We may meet with them. I mean, a meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
And the funny, people on both sides don't understand that that is a brilliant way to frame negotiations. Like, yeah, we might sit and we might talk with them, but I mean, I don't know, we might kill them before it.
If they don't hurry and rush to the table.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Your guess is as good as mine.
If you don't get to the table, I might take dinner out.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's anybody's guess. Well, sir, isn't it your guess? It's anybody's guess.
Anybody's really.
Could be yours.
Anybody's guess.
So President Trump is very serious about helping Iranians. Some insiders have actually reported that he's ready to ship them protective shields, which, well, okay.
Oh,
that's
that'll,
nice.
that'll
Oh, my
go
God.
well.
And even potentially some ground artillery, which I think we should be
A little more practical.
That's terrifying. Like, this looks like an AI
Also, the
generation
secret location of an
of
ancient
protesters'
Persian weapon.
biggest fear.
Now I get it's Arabian, it's not Persian.
Whatever.
I don't care.
Close enough.
I mean,
So we kind of walk you through what has happened so far. And then yesterday, the Ayatollah called out Trump on X. It's just so funny to me that these people act like they're real people. He said, that father figure who sits there with arrogance and pride, as
mean
opposed
daddy?
to the Ayatollah.
Right.
to me, it's so funny for world leaders, especially fascist dictators from across the world, are on social media shit talking like teenagers. I mean, I know Trump does it too, but like the fact that the Ayatollah does this.
Leader. No, supreme.
Supreme
Must be
leader.
supreme.
Supreme leader.
Yeah, but Trump's still his daddy, apparently.
Yeah,
Father
so.
figure.
That father figure who sits there with arrogance and pride, passing judgment on the entire world. He too should know that usually
Like, look at this. He
the tyrants and
posted
oppressors of the world,
a
such as
sarcophagus
Pharaoh
with
and Nimrod
Trump's face
and
on
Reza
it.
Khan
That's
and Mohammed Reza and the likes of him, when they were at the peak of their pride,
kind of
were
hilarious.
overthrown. This one too will be overthrown. Me, I mean you.
Yeah, he just listed a bunch of world leaders from only one part of the world.
It's true.
It's like his knowledge of the rest of the world doesn't exist. Like,
No. Here's a few key facts for you to know. And we're going to get some footage of, Lane the Brain went down and spoke with some people on the ground at a solidarity, not really a protest, I guess, solidarity march stand in Texas. Key fact 1 here. There may be outside forces that also have a vested interest, of course. But the Iranian people, enough of the Iranian people, a significant portion of the Iranian people, to the point that you are seeing a revolution, they want this. Okay, and this is not really surprising to people who know the history of Iran at all. Let's talk about this Islamic Republic, right? They took power in 1979, okay? Then they instituted a Muslim theocracy with hijab laws. They murdered tens of thousands of their own people. And what's really funny is they talked about the Shah before them, saying he's arrested and executed people. The number was, the estimate is probably about 4,000. The Ayatollah Khomeini did it far more. Completely silenced, destroyed political opposition, also destroyed Iran's economy, helped finance and conducted worldwide terror attacks. I mean, across the globe. They're the biggest funder of terror across the globe. And here's the thing, libertarians here who are non-interventionists, don't you understand that the people of Iran, they share common ground with you? They don't want their tax dollars going to build nuclear bombs and fighting wars, for example, in Gaza. Just like you don't for Ukraine. They have no say in it, because if they speak out, there's a chance that they get executed. This is one thing that's lost on a lot of people. Here's another claim that you'll kind of see being made, is that this is all CIA, that this is all Mossad right now, which you tell me if that passes a sniff test. You don't have people who are willing to die in the streets, numbering in the thousands, with more pouring into the streets.
I mean,
that's not typically what you see with a PSYOP or a covert operation, if you want to talk about the Bay of Pigs or any of these. It doesn't look like this.
Yeah, I don't think the CIA or Mossad went in and was like, hey, don't you guys hate the way you've been living the last 35 years?
Right, yeah. And aren't you guys willing to die en masse just for us, for the Jews? Here's the truth. The Iranian people, they've wanted the regime gone for a very, very long time, almost as soon as they came in.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I was going to say, pretty much since it
This
started.
is an exclusive here. Lane the Brain spoke with some demonstrators this weekend about
And
this
I'm pretty sure the
exact
same,
topic.
the
Hear it
Ayatollah's
straight
been in
from them
charge.
And ask yourself,
since then.
are all these people paid by outside actors?
There's this narrative that I've seen, I don't know if you've seen it, and it's going to be on the left, but also on parts of the right too, that, well, this isn't really led by the Iranian people, this isn't really a bottom-up thing, this is Israel, the Israel lobby that wants the Ayatollah out. It is the Jews that have an interest, so it's really, they're the ones...
Ah, yes, it's the
Absolutely
Jews.
not.
What would you say if you saw that?
Absolutely not. I think, excuse my language, that's
Please.
bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. All these people, look at this. Everyone on the streets, millions and millions of people are on the
Oh,
streets.
wow, that's in Dallas.
They're getting killed. The regime is basically opening fire at them right now, and they're not stopping. So this is all from the people of Iran. It has nothing to do with Israel or anyone else. We, the people of Iran, want this regime out. We want our freedom back. We want a democracy.
The power of Israel in the lobbying
I've never heard
is
an Iranian with a
absolutely
Valley Girl accent.
exists.
Sure, of course.
But do the people of Iran want to do this for Israel? Absolutely not. The people have been doing this for 45 years, Israel being there or not being there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the number one fact that tells you how that is incorrect. The number one world sponsor of terrorism calls the United States the big Satan and Israel the little Satan. So the little Satan is, as they call it, is doing the bidding.
Okay,
But
so
the
this
big
guy's
Satan,
Iranian
which is BS, by the way, the biggest
with a New York
bastion of
accent
freedom.
in
We're having
Texas.
a 250-year anniversary of the United States. The United States needs to go get these mullahs because they call us the big Satan. So it's not just Israel. They're fighting proxy wars against us in every one of these countries, and they're trying to kill Americans. And President Trump finally understands, going after the head of the snake and making sure that nobody ever calls us big Satan again.
And I know some of you are wondering, yes, I believe Lane the Brain got that First Lady's number. And
It's like, I know why that's your first interview, Lane.
and she's I believe recently come from Iran, like in the last year or two.
Oh, okay.
So I
that's,
don't even know if we could
that's-
say Iranian American.
They're
because
sending
she's not
people out. Okay.
not a citizen. She's a temporary
Yeah.
resident, as far as I understand it. Look, and I know you want to take the floor here for a second. This comes down to let's assume for a second that these people really want their regime gone. Okay. Would that be better for them? And would it be better for the United States? I mean, you do need to ask yourself, like, okay, we took out their nuclear refinement facilities. All right, and I had a debate about that with Dave Smith. Let's say we didn't, and we lived in a parallel universe where they got to the point of building a nuclear bomb. They continued on this path. You would never see a revolution of the people ever again because they would be completely powerless against it. So now that we're on this track, all right, they're not able to carry out some of the threats that they have made, and the people have an opportunity. Do you realize that this could fundamentally change? And I know they'll never get it all right but I usually apply that to the Arabic, the Muslim.
And when it comes to this, toppling fascistic governments, so on and so forth, there is no perfect measure. Okay, there will always be casualties. People will die. The goal, of course, hopefully, is minimizing that outcome. But unfortunately for the people of Iran, there have been thousands gunned down in the streets just recently, from my understanding.
World. Persians are quite different. This could stabilize that region for at least, let's say, a decade, 2 decades, that changes the entire map geopolitically and foes that the United States have. If Iran is not the biggest funder of terrorism, you don't have the same conflict between Iran.
And I swear, I know it's coming. I know it's going to happen. If people haven't already, people are going to compare the Persian takeover of Iran, the original holders, the original nationality of the country, to Xerxes in 300. I know it's coming. I know it's a movie. I know it's an embellished version of reality. And they're going to hold that history that happened thousands of years ago. I can already see it coming. I know it's going to happen.
And Israel, you don't have the same
because people are retarded.
By the way, between Iran and Saudi Arabia, that whole area of these Gulf states, it changes in a way that would be beneficial to the world at large. And the only people who stand to benefit from it remaining the way it is in fact the regime themselves. And I want to point out one thing. I went back and watched a documentary this weekend on the 79 Iran revolution. Then I watched a documentary on Iran and Saudi Arabia and their conflict over the decades. Then I watched a documentary, so about 7-8 hours in total on Iran and Israel. And that was uploaded to PBS 5 months ago. So right before we kind of came to where we are right now. And the one fundamental mistake that you see them all make is they would say, and Israel did this, or Saudi Arabia, which prompted Iran to, we have to swap Iran to the Islamic State regime. Because there is a huge disconnect from the Iranian regime, the policy, how we view Iran, and how the people of Iran view their government. It is a much, much wider disconnect, for example, than even Democrats would have with Donald Trump. They don't represent these people at all. Matter of fact, they have a vested interest in killing them. So when you see it that way, make really, really clear these lines. People say, well, I don't want to kill anyone in Iran. Neither do I. Their own regime does. That's the difference. You need to address the regime versus.
So it was Persia until about 1935, and then they requested a name change to Iran, and then about 30 years later, that's when the Ayatollah took over. So I didn't know that.
Which is the people, and they necessitate 2 different approaches in dealing with Iran. Are you dealing with Iran by giving a pass to the regime, or are you dealing with Iran by having a heart for the Iranian people? That's not to have the discussion and say, is it worth our tax dollars? Should we be involved?
Right.
But let's not just say Iran as a whole.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the Dave Smiths and those guys who are anti-intervention, I understand why. Like, Iran poses a very unique challenge for us. We could go in there and we could probably make this thing happen, but it would be very, very costly and difficult, and you never know exactly what you're going to get. But that's what we have now. Right, so you've got the revolution that happens from all these college kids, basically, these college-age young people that just want change because the Shah is too close to the United States. He's repressive. He's making it to where 4,000 people, I think, or so were killed. But they had a lot more freedom, but they just didn't like that. And so they went through a revolution and got something worse in the Ayatollah, and they very quickly realized that.
And that's usually what happens. I mean, the same thing happened in Russia. I think it was Tsar Nicholas took over after a long succession of czars, and they tried to do different things with each of them. And as much as the country was suffering, the people wanted revolution, understandably, because they were the only country in Europe that had a monarchy at the time, if I'm not mistaken, or at least had one that mattered. With England's monarchy had already stepped down at this point, I'm pretty sure. and then they got Lenin, Trotsky, and then eventually Stalin, and things got infinitely worse. Russia's never really recovered. They still have mostly that. It's not as bad as it was under Stalin by any means, but Putin can still disappear people.
And started protesting against it, and it's like, yes, it could be messy, but the people of Iran have wanted this forever.
Right.
I mean, as long as this
Sorry about
has
all the
been
coughing,
in
by
place
the way.
since 1979, I'm betting in 1981, people were like, all right, this sucks, okay? This was supposed to be better.
Yeah.
And it's not better because they've been talking about this for a long time. And I know it could be messy, but it would be better than what we have right now. And we'll get to why with China and Russia. This matters a lot more to us than most people
Yes.
think.
Well,
This is an American.
And between Trump taking Maduro out in Venezuela and this whole thing happening in Iran, which only happened because of the targeted strikes that America and Israel have done in the past year, that's going to cause a major blow to the BRICS nations, especially China and Russia.
America first thing.
The only reason that Iran is not considered a more formidable foe is because they don't have the ability. But if
Yeah.
you were to take, let's say, a superpower like China, like Russia, and add on top of that, death to America, the great Satan, we will eventually wipe them out. I think you'd take it quite seriously. The whole point is that it's probably not in our interest for Iran to get to that point. How we deal with it, that's a discussion to be had. Here's another claim
Absolutely.
that you'll see made. So I want to disabuse you of some ideas out there that are simply false, and then I think an honest discussion can take place. Claim. I don't know if you have this to claim. No? Hit it. All right. Thank you. I forgot I was saying the other one.
And I love these claim truths
You'll
because
see
they're
people say
very
this is
well
because
researched.
Muslims would never burn a mosque. You're seeing mosque burnings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. Muslims have destroyed mosques a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot,
that was
a lot.
kind of a calling card. All the greats have their calling cards. I mean, if you go back to 79, the Saudi army just destroyed this grand mosque in Mecca after it was taken over by Muslim extremists. If you go all the way through 2018, Sunni Muslims destroyed an Ahmadi mosque in Pakistan. You had ISIS destroying mosques. It would happen all the time between Shia and Sunni Muslims. All the time they would destroy each other's mosques. It's like biker gangs taking out each other's clubs. They revile each other.
I think
And again, this is just because a particular person of the faith said this very thing when that's not true. And they're usually American Muslims and not people from these countries in particular.
people in the West have this idea that a Muslim would never destroy a mosque because
Yeah.
we fought a war in the Middle East for 20 years, a global war on terror, and that was one of the things. They used it as like a home base rule, like, oh, if I'm in the mosque, you can't do anything.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that's kind of, I think that's where that stereotype comes from, but
Right.
it's not necessarily an untouchable building.
Well, here's another truth. The protesters there are very likely not even Muslim. So this is one thing that's very telling, and I highly recommend you go check out the references. If you look at the percent of the population of Iran that identify as Muslim, now according to the government census, it's 99.5%. 99.5% of Iran is Muslim. All non-government surveys have it less than 50%.
Yeah, anytime I see a government survey and it's 99,
It's no, we are all Muslim.
5.
Right.
So that we're like,
When it turns out, less than half.
Now, that doesn't mean that they're all Christian, but I will say this. Of
course, since they've gunned a lot of them down, it could be
significantly more
higher
Christian
than that.
nation than Iran is Muslim.
Yeah.
So when you say the Iranian people, as though the Iranian people are one and the same with the government, who are Islamo-fascists, well, how do you reconcile that if you know that the majority of their country, they don't even identify as Muslim? And by the way, there are, according to unofficial number, at least 1 million Christians in Iran today, and it's growing. So that's a really big tell. The government saying 99 are Muslim. What does that mean? They want it to be, and they'll kill you if you're not. They'll kill you if you convert.
Well, it's basically they want this. They want to wear the hijabs in public and have all of these Sharia laws in place. It's like, no, actually, they don't.
Yeah.
Less than 50%.
They force women to wear hijabs for the same reason they will publicly execute these protesters without trial
Yeah.
and not allow the families to visit.
Yeah, and they're saying that on Wednesday.
Yeah.
They're going to start rounding up. I don't think I'll talk about that later, but man, that could be very brutal.
Yeah. Well, here's another key fact is, you're right. President Trump is motivating the protesters. That is true. There is motivation. They are hoping that the United States comes to their aid. Not exactly how you think, though. So the Iranians, they've been, again, like I said, protesting the regime for decades. This round started before Trump went into Venezuela, but his rhetoric, they have said, are making a significant difference.
Huge.
They feel as though someone is acting as a backstop, especially after taking the nuclear refinement facilities out. That's not something that the Iranian people want their money going toward. We haven't even talked about the economy. I mean, just unbelievable inflation that you couldn't even imagine here. People living in poverty. People with high IQs, by the way, and high levels of education, just not having any economic opportunity. They don't want their money going to build nuclear bombs. So hear it again from the people who are down there, who are Iranian here in the United States. Hear them describe it.
Why do you think President Trump maybe inspires a little more hope, or what is it about his leadership that kind of gives people more confidence that this could be, the time that it actually happens?
President Trump is a man of his word. He doesn't back him up. He doesn't stay quiet. He doesn't stay silent. He stays for what's right. Regardless of what the mass media says, the mass media always follows their ideology. And if something doesn't fit their ideology, they won't represent it. We have seen it. Right now, there's for the last 48 hours, there's been quite a complete blackout in Iran, which means that there is no internet, there is no communication from Iran to outside world. So they're doing mass massacre.
Okay, this was 3 days ago.
A lot of people realize
So this
that
was on
President
Saturday.
Trump is not to be played around with. We saw what happened in Venezuela.
Yeah, and
President
since
Trump
this,
also
Elon
went
Musk
and
has
took
stepped
out-
in and
took out the nuclear sites that the Islamic
giving them
Republic so much
free
have.
Wi-Fi
That
so they
people
can
in
get the word
Iran
out.
have no problem with Israel. The people of Iran
Starlink,
are peace-loving
that's what it
people.
is.
They're not interested in nuclear weapons. They're not interested in all the things that these mullahs that have hijacked Iran are doing. And the most important part that this is really happening is because we have the back end of the world. And for the first time in the White House, we have a president who gets it.
The only message I got is for President Trump and every other political head, president, everyone out there. If you're going to say you're going to do something, you better do it, because if you don't do it, you're endangering the people that are inside the country.
100%.
And they go out there, they risk their lives, and they're hoping that there is some kind of outside help coming in, but it's not. So it has been, what, January 3rd, he said it?
Yeah.
January,
yeah.
and
About a week.
no, yeah, about a week and a half, and people are dying. What else do you need? Go out there if you're going to do it.
And here's the thing. I think that the people should plan a revolution where they can carry it out themselves.
Yeah.
You shouldn't rely on the United States. But again, that is relevant. The regime change would benefit the United States. And yes, by the way, Israel. But it doesn't mean that that's why the people there are supporting it. Let's put this in perspective. Right now, what's the most oil-rich country on earth?
Venezuela?
Venezuela. Okay, so Venezuela. So that one now.
New information to me.
Yeah, that one
It
now.
was high.
Stabilize it.
Yeah.
Okay? And a lot of their oil, we gave you their number, how much was going to China.
Right.
And how much China was investing in Venezuela. That's in our hemisphere. Okay. So that's one that, of course, we don't know where the chips will fall, but we're on a better track.
Same thing with Iran, by the way.
Yep.
Crude oil.
We can look at
China
the
gets it
Islamic
from
Republic.
there.
They're the world's largest sponsor of terrorism. Okay? That's gone if the Islamic Republic falls. China and Russia would lose their biggest partner in the region. Again, China imports 23% of all of its oil from Iran. So you change the game with Venezuelan oil and you change the game with Iranian oil, guess what? You avoid a war with a nation like China going forward. You guys understand this, right? Actions need to, like, if you just do nothing, that doesn't mean that war never happens. It means that war will happen. It's an inevitability, especially when you're dealing with evil actors, because then they see weakness. They will always expand. They will always encroach.
Yeah.
So putting China on its heels with both Venezuela and Iran as a multi-pronged approach, that is incredibly effective. Iran, by the way, is also the top supplier of drones to Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on in Ukraine right now? It's basically a drone war right now. So that would be a massive, massive win for us. And one reason Lane actually brought up something. He reached out to one of his friends in China. He went to school there for a brief period of time, and they're like, "You're CIA, go!" And that's Russian. I don't know. I can't do Chinese
that's okay.
voice.
I get it.
Whatever.
Yeah, that sounded very Chinese.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Chinese.
Anyway, he reached out to one of his friends, like, "Hey, what do you guys think of what's going on in Iran?" And they're like, "What's going on in Iran?" Like, China is completely suppressing this story. So it's obviously a big deal to them that power stays as power is in Iran right now.
Right.
They want it unchecked. They don't want anybody coming in and messing with any of that stuff, though I don't think they can do anything about it.
Lane is just clarifying they saw his story and reached out to him, not vice versa.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
Okay. Well,
all Lane.
It's funny because, by the way, I think it's true that you do have the Israeli government trying to apply leverage to big tech companies sometimes to change the algorithm. That's true. That's a problem. We need to call it out where we see it. But what about the fact that all communications are shut down in Islamic nations anytime there's a little bit of an uprising or protest?
Nothing fishy there.
Yeah, we have to apply this even-handedly. Yeah, we should act in our own interests, and Iran existing as it does is diametrically opposed to the best interests of the United States. That doesn't mean that we invade, but it does mean that we have a vested interest right now. If you want America first, if you want the steady supply of energy, if you don't want prices subjected to incredible volatility because of instability in that entire region of the world, then you would want to have a different government that is America-friendly in Iran. That would be America first.
And by the way, let me just lay this out really quickly, because a lot of people will say, no, we just need to work with this government. Okay, fantastic. I'll take you at your word. In 2009, there was an election, and the Iranian people thought that their votes were stolen, essentially. And so they basically had 1 million people out in the streets in 2009 protesting and marching and screaming, "Where is my vote?" Okay, the United States did virtually nothing to help. That's, I think, the Green Revolution, Green Movement, whatever they want to call it. We tried to work with the government. That was a key moment where we could have just done a little bit of a hat tip like Trump has done and said, hey, be careful. Don't do anything to those protesters over there. If you kill too many protesters, you're going to, hey, we're considering strong options right now. Trump has always had a, hey, look, I'm going to go and show these guys that they have a backer without fully committing us to something maybe we don't want to do.
And by the way, the same people saying you should work with their government are the same people who then go, can you believe that George Bush was working with the Saudis? There's no winning with that. You'll look back and you go, wait, why were we working with a government that suppressed its own people and executed its own people and violated its own people's human rights? They didn't represent their people. So there's no winning with that. It's just people wanting the Monday morning quarterback.
Also, I mean, pretty much. Is there no moral qualm with help working with a government like that?
Exactly.
Handing over $6 billion to them?
Yeah, no kidding.
That they're going to turn over right to Hezbollah and Hamas and whoever knows?
Right. No, that's a very good point. So all of these, it's not just as simple as people go like, it's the Jews. I guarantee you Israel has a vested interest in Iran not being under the thumb of the Islamic Republic. That doesn't mean that the people
I'm really sucked into this.
A separate interest. They can be sort of parallel to each other.
Right.
They can be congruent, but it doesn't mean that they're doing it for the other.
Right. The enemy of my enemy, essentially, right here.
Yeah. And in that case, they might not even be taking that into account.
Yeah.
Now, here's a kind of a bonus piece of information. With Iran going on, certainly as far as forced hijabs, right? The women were wearing bikinis back in the day. And now the women live under the Islamic Republic where they're
they got a lot of
completely stripped of their rights. You would think that, especially considering, how they have the Palestine flag and LGBTQ flag and that Donald Trump is a chauvinist and patriarchy and Handmaid's Tale, American feminists would be showing support for the ladies of Iran, right?
But why do you think you're not seeing that support that you might have seen those groups give people like Palestine or when there's other similar situations?
That's actually a great question that I don't know the answer to. Like, I don't know why people are quiet. The feminists,
not even quiet, just loudly
who stood with us, who amplified
countering
our voices. In 2022 for Massa Amini, a lot of them are quiet right now.
Where's the mainstream media? Where are these news channels that talk about women's rights? This is a women-led revolution. This is the first women-led revolution in the world, and there's no media, there's no CNN, no BBC, no Telegraph, no ABC, no Fox News, no CNN. I mean, where's the mass media?
The people that here are trying to represent the oppressed have no clue what oppression is.
Yeah.
They've never been oppressed. We've been oppressed by the radical Islamists. They have occupied our country. Now we're trying to take it back. They are trying to...
be careful. Don't let Whoopi Goldberg hear that. She'll say that black people in America currently, and her being rich, her herself as a black lesbian, is more oppressed than the people in Iran right now. She said something similar. I can't remember which country it was specifically, but it was a similar situation.
Over other people's country. I have one message for the people of the United States who think that the radical Islamists or the socialists or Hamas is any good. Go spend 7 days in Iran, then we talk.
By the way, notice the difference in ability for these people to articulate their positions and reasons for protesting compared to ICE.
Right.
And that is, by the way, certainly a litmus test. It's a good bellwether to know whether protesters are organic or they are paid. If it's just, you guys are fascists, like, yeah, could you articulate that? She can say, no, we've lived under the Islamic rule. We know what it is. We're seeing the media blackout. People don't know what oppression is. We can tell you what oppression is. This is someone who is able to articulate their point because they have thought about it for decades. By the way, I had friends when I was in Montreal. They went to visit family in Iran. They didn't come back.
Yeah. Hold on. While we're speaking on Iran.
And it's slow.
But let's just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Which was done like in the 80s and before.
Hanging black people. So
it is not even the same.
We're talking about something that was done back in the day, and it was awful, and everyone will speak out about that. Okay, yes, people used to tie gay people to the back of their cars. People used to hang black people. But it's few and far between, and those people are ostracized as they should be. Everyone speaks out against that shit, and it very, very rarely, if ever, happens now or for the last 20 plus years. Like I haven't heard of anyone being drugged behind a truck ever. But I know it's happened because it's in a lot of media, and it's in some old newsreels and clips that I've seen from the past. But it's not something that currently happens. This is the kind of things that has happened in Iran now. And that's another reason for the revolution. This is Whoopi Goldberg 6 months ago when this lady's talking about what's happening in Iran now. And then Whoopi Goldberg says, hold on, wait a minute, America sucks.
I couldn't step foot wearing this outfit.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit into Iran. Killed for
I'm sorry.
No, I can't have my hair showing. I can't wear a skirt. I can't have my arms out.
I'm telling you,
I literally said it was up to the Iranian people.
Yes, it is up to them. And that's why I am saying that it is the same.
It's not.
Murdering someone for their difference is not good. Whoever does it. It's
True.
not good.
True.
So that's why I said.
But it's rare.
You weren't saying what I
in
heard
America.
was not what you meant.
I think it's very different to live in the United
as
States.
opposed to something that happens on the regular.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Guys, don't go to Tehran. Do not anyone at the table to go to Tehran.
Let me tell you about being in this country. This is the greatest country in the world. But, yeah, I know that. And we all know that. But every day, we are worried. Do we have to be worried about our kids? Are our kids going to get shot because they're running through somebody's neighborhood? They are not big deals, and I don't mean to say they're not big deals to you, because that's not what I meant.
And they are not doing well there either. They are not doing well in Iran. They are not educated. They cannot property. They cannot leave them.
And this is what I'm saying. Whoopi Goldberg is retarded. Yeah. Okay, she's rich. She's been living a lofty life.
You can say
for
that
the last
we shouldn't be involved,
30,
but you
30
can't say
years.
that it's a psyop to try and paint this regime in Iran as something that they're not. Now, to be fair, they made a good point that there's pretty much a blackout on mainstream media. The BBC, however, did use their pidgin language site. Is it
It's pigeon.
It's pigeon, but
it's
not
pigeon.
Like a pigeon
It's like a Polynesian slang.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Sorry, I mean it's not the bird.
Well, I was right and you were wrong.
Correct. That's true. Yeah, that's fine.
I still love you.
I'll own it.
I understand where you're going from, Gerald. You don't want people thinking that BBC has a network dedicated just to
pigeon,
crappy city birds.
Right. Yeah. Then it would just be Pierce Morgan.
I mean, maybe it's better.
That's the Animaniacs. That's a different show.
So. They haven't really covered it a whole lot on their, but they did on their pigeon language site. This is real. This is what they wrote. Wetin day high pun for Iran, why them day protest?
Are you taking the fucking piss?
That was like your Pacific Islander meets Canadian.
Kind of. So what would you like to see happen here? I think this is an opportunity to have a good discussion. This is where you can have a discussion regarding America's foreign policy if it's based on honesty. Obviously, the regime of Iran, bad. Obviously, the people are oppressed. Obviously, the people are being executed. Obviously, the people want an uprising. Do you think it's worth it for the United States to be involved? Do you think that the risk is worth the reward? What kind of a yield do you think we would get from this? Do you think that it would change that map in that region and create some stability that would be meaningful? Or do you think it would just be another failure and equate it to regime change? I would say this. Don't compare everything to Iraq. That's one thing people do. They just compare everything to Iraq, everything to Iraq, everything to Iraq. That's not the only example that you have throughout history, and especially not with Persia, with a nation that is not historically an Islamic nation. It is not an Arabic nation. They view themselves as very different. They are much more educated. They have higher IQs, and it's a much more secular and also Christian society than the rest of the Arabic world. They know what it can be like in comparison to this.
I also think that both can be true. I think that the map could change, the relationship could change. Everything could change for the better over 10 years, 20 years, whatever the time is. And then eventually it's looked upon as a failure.
Yes.
Because human nature, I mean, people are going to mess up. Someone's going to be corrupted. It never works out perfectly.
Right.
It's only worked out great here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. It's going to end up as a failure regardless.
It always depends on the ins.
You can spin it that way, at least.
Yeah, it depends on the ins and out points that you pick. For example, you could look at the United States and go, all right, it started off as a great place. You had George Washington, we went through it, but then you ended up with Joe Biden, so it's a failure.
Right. You could, depending on where you look at it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the war in Afghanistan that we had, you leave sooner, could have been looked at as a failure. I mean, no matter when we left Afghanistan, it was going to look like a failure.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was quite a failure.
Well, the withdrawal.
The withdrawal
It's the
method.
graveyard of empires.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason it has that name.
You're still here.
Okay, so that's all about Iran. So I just got a couple things I want to show here. But yeah, that's a few facts about that. It's a shit situation, but I am happy that they're taking their country back. And just it's always great seeing a fascistic leader get toppled, an actual fascistic leader, not just one that's an asshole who says things you don't like and puts forth policy that you don't like. Look, in America, we do good things and we do bad things. And you can find good in every president. You can find bad in every president. Some are very clearly more to one side than others. And you can argue amongst yourselves about that. But just real quick, I want to take a look at this picture right here. So this dipshit says an ICE agent in Minneapolis shoved a man to the ground for filming their vehicle. He wasn't obstructing anything. Courts have ruled recording law enforcement is legal. Assaulting a civilian for doing it. Look at this video. Okay, the guy is in the road. The law enforcement's trying to drive. They're trying to go somewhere. This is obstructing their vehicle, getting in front of it so they can't move. That is obstructing. Just because you don't know the definition of a word or a law does not mean that you're not breaking said law. Ignorance is bliss, but it won't save you from prosecution. It will in Minneapolis probably, unless he goes to a federal court. But very clearly, this dipshit recording is in the road in front of the car, hoping that they'll run him over. And instead of pushing him with the car, he very politely gets out and pushes him the fuck over. Oh, what the fuck? He's alive. He's alive. And he learned a very valuable lesson. And he didn't get arrested, which I think is horrible. But look, when you spin shit just because you don't know the definitions of things, and who's this dipshit? Husband, father, member of Congress. Okay, Ted Lieu is a retard. And Betty's a retard too for marrying this motherfucker. Oh, he's Air Force. That explains it. Sorry, military shit. But no, this is obstruction. So the ICE agent, instead of pulling him, pulling into him with the vehicle, because now people think that if you're standing in the road blocking traffic and someone tries to get around you, they push you out of the way, you get right back in front, so they have to go to work, so you push them over. Now they think that means that you can shoot them. I don't understand this timeline. This is retarded. Speaking of retarded, Hassan Diddy bin Laden Piker. Trump talks next steps in Iran after deadly protest. Hogs celebrate Iranian protest, then celebrate ICE killing Americans. Who has celebrated this? I don't know what the hogs are. Iran protests turned deadly. Trump wants to bully the Fed with criminal charges so he can molest the money. I'm back. Hassan's a retard. Okay, anyone who thinks that he's poignant, fixated, and any kind of intellectual being is retarded. Okay, he says right here. He's got all these things written down. I love immigrants. So do I. Most people do. They just don't like the illegal ones. But then I will also argue that neither conservatives nor Democrats want to make it easier for people to become legal citizens. And Democrats give incentives for people to be here illegally. So I love criminals. Okay, I love criminals. That's a fun one. Look, I understand that some people, yes, commit crimes because of certain settings that they were born into. But you love criminals? I mean, it's good to love everybody. It's a very religious take on things. But, okay. I love trans people. Okay. I love abortions. Okay. I love queers. I love slutty men. I don't understand that one, but I didn't know there was a, okay. I love contraception. I love welfare. I love socialism. I fucking hate ICE. Hassan, ever the intellectual if I ever saw one. What the fuck, man? It's just, it's beyond me, some of the shit that you see on here. All things of Elon Musk. But anyway, and again, you see more of Mark Ruffalo. I'm going to start calling him the Sulk instead of the Hulk, because he's just a very sad man, looking more and more like, I don't even know, man. I was going to say Rosie O'Donnell because of the hair and the suit, but ugh. That guy. But anyway, that's all I'm going to get into today. Look, Smash JT needs to stop doing this shit. Stop making sexy versions of everything in history with ChatGPT, dude. Seriously. You do not need to ask ChatGPT to make the wife of the person slain in Minneapolis not a lesbian. I mean, I understand you're a grifter and all that, but come on, dude. Like, that's... Love or hate what she stands for. Her wife just died. Just show a little bit of respect for now, and then here in a year or so, whatever, do what you want, but give her a little bit of time to grieve. Come on, just come on, dude. Like all the people calling and saying, you know, this is what you think lesbians are in this, and this is what they are in real life. Just come on, the woman just died. Whether or not you think she deserved it, whether or not any of that, just there are boundaries. I understand a lot of y'all are grifters and so on and so forth. I'll catch myself doing similar things from time to time. But come on, have a little respect for the dead and the people mourning the dead. Just a little bit. Not a lot. A little bit. But anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. I just wanted to touch on the Iran situation. And as always, Crowder and Nux are the most informative and most factually correct. They both throw in their little religious statements here and there, but... you can always separate that quite easily because they don't let it interfere with their actual opinions on things. Well, facts are facts, and then their feelings are feelings, and they make a clear distinction to separate the two. Nux a little less, but anyway, thanks y'all for showing up. I've been Alfie Animus. This has been the Associated Guest.